Hi, hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Today I want to focus on the question, right? Is XRP a security? Yeah. And my answer, I can tell you now, I highly likely no, right? And I think SEC is going to rule in favor of XRP very soon, yeah? And why do I say that? Let's just go in it next, right? And why do I ask this question in the first place? Because a few days ago, right, Ripple CTO, Chief Technology Officer David Schwartz, right, is basically saying he rather have regulatory clarity than not knowing what is it. He'd rather have a bad regulation than not knowing what it is. And I truly agree, right? Certainty is always better than nothing, right? Unknowing what is it. But I believe the SEC will rule in favor of XRP being not a security. And why do I say that? Is because of these four reasons, yeah? And they are all equally important, but let's first start with the first one. It's vote of confidence from former SEC employee. Now, this is not new news, but I think a lot of people who are probably new in this space may not know, right? In August last year, right, they actually have interviewed a very prominent person who is a former SEC employee who has 8 years experience in SEC. His name is Michael Didiuk. He is now in a private legal firm, right, where he advises clients on blockchain and distributed ledger technology with regard to regulatory compliance. Why is he such in high demand? Is because he has 8 years experience in US SEC, and specifically he also had experience in Office of Compliance Inspections and Examinations in the SEC San Francisco office, right? And specifically he had expertise on the Securities Act of the various years, right? So he is definitely well placed to answer whether XRP is a security or not, yeah? And in a very specific interview done by Modern Consensus, he has actually said, right, he doesn't think so. In fact, he's quite confident that XRP is not a security based on his knowledge and his experience, having worked in SEC before. Why? Because of four reasons, right? And he said basically it failed the Harvey test. Harvey test requires one to ask 4 questions, and then if any one of those questions is a no, then an item will not be regarded as a security. So first is the investment of money. So he basically say, right, is it investment of money, or is it investing in a common enterprise, or are you investing with the expectation of profits, or are you going to benefit, are investors going to benefit from the managerial effort of others? So let's say what he said, right? So basically first one, which is very well known, is that he said, if Ripple went away, that means if the company went away, bankrupt, go under, if the CEO got hit by a bus, if the company just went under, XRP would still exist, right? Because XRP, although it is not mined, although the all the cryptocurrencies of 100 billion has been already mined, right? It is in a it is in a blockchain that is secure, or that is guarded, right, by a lot of independent people who took care of the nodes, yeah. So they're not just Ripple alone, right? Although Ripple have a lot of the coins, but they are not the one who have sole control of the ledger, yeah. And so one is that there is a separate autonomous independence between Ripple the company and XRP the coin, right, and which is the token of exchange, to make sure or to facilitate that global transfers of money, global transfers of value, right, at instant speed and very, very almost zero fees, right? Very, very low fees, yeah. And that's why, so if the company go under, XRP ledger and XRP coins will still exist, right? That's one. Is there's a clear separation between the company or the entity, right, the common enterprise, with XRP, yeah. Second is, of course, right, yes, of course, investors invest with the expectation of profits, but right, Ripple at the company didn't promise anyone the profits, right? And number 4, will the security, right, will XRP as a native token benefit from the managerial efforts of others? That means, will the price of XRP increase as a result of positive efforts by the company of Ripple? Ideally, yes, right? And that's what the investors are hoping. But so far, we have seen, right? And in fact, even last year to today, right? XRP, Ripple as a company have done a lot to actually promote the usage of XRP, and they're being, adopted by a lot of banks around the world, even top banks in a lot of major countries, and But the sad thing is the price of XRP token, does not seem to react much to a lot of so much positive news. Yeah. So that in a way tells you that it is not directly correlated to the managerial effort. Ultimately, the price is determined by the demand and supply, right? And supply, we know it is fixed. Then it is just how much demand, and that will have to come from if there are a lot of use cases, a lot of banks adopting XRP for their transfer of payment, right? Then with time, right, then investors will be more convinced to increase demand for it, and then with that, hopefully then the demand will increase, yeah, because so much positive news has happened even from last year to now, but the prices of XRP has not really moved tremendously because of it. So there is no direct correlation between the company and the price, right? And because of all this, as long as any one of the 4 questions are debunked, right, then XRP will not be a security. Yeah. The other reasons are really, right, the due diligence of XRP partner. That's the second key reason. So one of the partner or one of the company who have adopted XRP, which is one of the key or core offerings of Ripple and XRP, is Via Americas. Via Americas is a huge company, right? And they basically they have a partnership, they have presence in 34 countries globally, in 3 continents globally, and they have 76,000 cash points around the world, yeah? Now, Via Americas is now using XRP, and that's a clear endorsement, right, and such a big company must have done their due diligence, right, of whether XRP is a security or not. Now, if it is a security, what happens is that for every time you want to use XRP, every time you want to purchase or sell it, you will have to subject to a capital gains tax of 30%. And if that is the case, right, then it will deem the proposition of XRP being, able to facilitate global transfers at zero cost, right, at almost zero cost or very, very low fee. It will render that useless. It will render that not valid, right? And then it is no point for Via Americas to use XRP as their medium of, global transfers. But I believe, right, they must have the fact that they are willing to tie themselves, right, in a partnership with Ripple and using XRP, that means they are putting their names and their reputation on the line, right? And I believe they must have done their due diligence to ensure, right, that Ripple and XRP as a token is not viewed negatively by the regulators, right? And they are willing then to put themselves on the line. And in addition to that, right, Via Americas CEO Paul DeWeer, he is actually the chairman of the US Money Service Business Association, and they work directly with American regulators, including the US SEC, right, to help them to understand the financial industries so that the appropriate laws and regulations can be put into place, right? So that again tells you that the CEO of Via Americas has a lot of background, has a lot of experience dealing with the Security Commission, right, and the regulators. So he would know, right, he would have a good sense of whether something is a security or not, yeah. And third, Ripple board members has experience with US financial regulators. This Ben Lawsky is a board of director, right, in Ripple. And he was previously the former superintendent of financial services for the state of New York, yeah. And this is the key experience that he has, right, in having with the regulators. So again, being a board of director on Ripple, right, he clearly knows, right, I mean, with that experience, he will clearly have connections and will have clearly, just based on his knowledge and experience alone, right, he would have good knowledge and again, good sense of what will constitute a security, yeah. And he will advise, the Ripple company to do the right thing so that XRP, will not be a security, right? Do you see what I'm seeing here? Yeah. And lastly, they have very, very strong engagement with 40 plus regulators around the world, and that is including especially the top ones, including Federal Reserve in the US, IMF, right, who is Central Bank, and Bank of England, and also in Saudi Arabia. So in IMF, right, Ripple was selected to serve on the IMF High Levels Advisory Group on FinTech. So Brad Garlinghouse actually represent Ripple, and they're actually, together with Christine Lagarde, right, the chief of IMF, they are actually advising all these IMF members on, what should be their stance, right, with regards to FinTech, with regards to crypto. Yeah. On Federal Reserve as well, Ripple was selected to serve on the steering committee of this industry strategic initiatives on faster payments. Yeah. Bank of England, Ripple was selected to inform the next generation of accelerator program of the payment infrastructure. So again, this association and the fact that all these IMF and all these central banks invite Ripple, and I believe they're the only one, right, among all the crypto company, invite the Ripple to represent the crypto industry, to advise, all these central banks on crypto, on payments, right, or to tell you the kind of confidence the central banks and IMF have on Ripple and XRP. So do you think, right, really they will rule in negatively against XRP? I believe Ripple and XRP have put themselves in such a high place. It's really like too big to fail, right? That, I believe even if the government or the SEC has initially viewed XRP as negatively, they view it as a security, but they have to make an exception, right? That after all, right, they did say, I think last week they did say the definition of security can change from time to time. It is really up to the regulator how they want to craft, right? How they want to craft their thinking around it. And don't forget, right, we have a lot of very, very strong background people who have experience with SEC, people experience with the financial regulators, and people who again have a lot of dealings even today with the SEC, with the regulators. They are all have some part to play with Ripple and XRP, and that ought to tell you just how much confidence the financial industry has with XRP, right? So that is why, my opinion, not the fact yet, right, but I do believe because of all these facts, right, that SEC will rule in favor of XRP as not a security. Yeah. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this episode, but let me know what you think of my analysis, right? And please subscribe, please leave a like, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.